Today I'm going to talk about when to quit in sports. Have you ever noticed that no matter what you're doing, you're not progressing? And that feeling of despair that you're lost because no matter what you do, you can't move forward. There are a few ways that our psyche is able to deal with that. Depression. It's either running away, or it's fighting it, or it pretends that it's not happening. However, if we understand why the athlete wants to win, or why the athlete is in sport, or why he or she is in a particular sport, we're able to address the pattern. It's hard for us to face the inevitable. Most likely, it's something that has happened way back when we don't even remember. And actually, in my case, it happened during my birth when my mother was delivering me. It was something that was unavoidable, something out of my control, but something that sat in my psyche so sturdily that I wasn't able to get away from it or to change it or to even manage it or control it. When I understood that certain parts of how I function are set in stone, unless I learn how to live with it and work with it, I will never move forward. When we are facing despair, our psyche goes into something that's called paralyzing helplessness. It's suppression of our energy to preserve our mental energy, to preserve our mental, psychological resources. Because imagine you're running towards the horizon and you're thinking that you're going to get to the end of the world. If Earth was flat, you'd be able to get to the edge. But no matter how long you run, it's continuing to run away from you. And it's like a never ending chase. You're going after it, going after it. You stop, gear yourself up, get all the biohacks in. You continue again, you try again, then you find a new hack and you try again, but you never reach that point. That point is not existent because that point is most likely in the past. Changing the past is pointless. It's not only depression, but it's also burnout and it's also injuries. Athletes who burn out are more prone to injury, are more prone to depression after having the injury. So it's a very toxic cycle for the athlete. However, some like the chase. A lot of them want to put it aside or put it farther away from them to be able to chase it. They just enjoy the chase. Their goal is not to catch it, their goal is to chase. And that is another reason why a lot of the athletes are not able to place well in a competition, because they're self-sabotaging. One part of them wants to chase and the other part wants to actually catch it or place. That's an inner conflict that if we're not aware of that, we won't be able to understand why we make mistakes when we had the perfect opportunity to win the race, why we get sick right before the competition. The inner conflict is always when one part wants it and the other part prevents it. When we face paralyzing helplessness, there are two ways we act. We either are depressed, so suppressed energy, we don't have energy for anything. And the other part is that we fuel up, we look for resources, and we continue the chase, or we continue the attempt, the thousandth attempt. Neither one of them is going to get us what we want. The psyche is afraid to face the inevitable. It's also afraid to let go of the purpose. A lot of people have that inevitable event in their life as their purpose. And once we take that away, the person loses the purpose of all their actions. They lose the kick that gives them the energy to keep living. It takes away the motor, because for the majority of their life, that was the source of their fuel. That was their why. When you take that why away, the person is lost. They no longer know why they're doing what they're doing. A lot of the times, athletes get injured or athletes leave the sport because they no longer why. When they face that pointlessness, they have to find what was the point of what happened that they're trying to change. And then they have to find a new way of motivation. What is it that they want? And that's one of the most difficult questions, because the question what they want is only established, is only answered when the person understands who they are. And if all they know is that they are a hardworking, dream pursuing athlete, and when that dream is taken away because it's unachievable or it's pointless or it's a source of pain and frustration, then the person doesn't have a direction to go. And that's when a lot of the problems happen. That's when we face the identity crisis. And the identity crisis is very difficult for the psyche, because that way it's losing part of itself. And we don't deal very well with loss. We grieve it, we're angry. A whole spectrum of emotions comes with loss. But if we're not able to face it, we will never be able to reach. It doesn't mean that the athlete will never be able to compete and win again. Most likely, if their identity changes and they do go through that crisis and they do find who they are and what they want and what's their destination and what's their drive, they will most likely have an extra resource that's going to provide a more meaningful achievement and more fulfilling and lasting, and something that's building them up, instead of pursuing a dream that is not achievable and dragging them back. It's almost like having a ship with an anchor, and the anchor is the unachievable dream. So when you face a situation where you want to give up, it's a good time to ask yourself, well, what if I was to give up? Well, why am I caring so much whether I give up or not? What will I lose if I give up? These questions are going to bring you closer to getting to know yourself and redirect your effort to achieve faster and easier. Because what you're trying to achieve is not yours, it's not your purpose. Your purpose here is not to change the past. Your purpose here is to explore yourself in the present, in the future of what your potential is. Your potential is not in the past. Your potential is ahead of you, is right here with you, but you are not able to look forward and backwards at the same time. You're either looking backwards or you're looking forward. And for you to look forward, you have to give up the backwards. There is no other way, unless you have some third eye in the back. But it's a choice, and it's also a loss. You're losing the past to see your present and future. You're losing what's behind to see what's in front of you. And the minute you accept the loss of the past, no matter how glorious you think it is, you will be able to see opportunities and your potential right here, right in front of you, because it's not going anywhere. It's always in front of you because it's there for you and you alone.